Welcome into Chop Shop. It's David. I'm here back with some new things. Here on Chop Shop, this is a place where we talk about sports, but we give you the voice. A voice. Joining me today is my cousin Ryan, and we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it right now, and we gotta have. I need a reflection. I need to know what you were thinking about watching The Last Dance.
What I was thinking about was what I've always thought, and that is Michael Jordan is the best basketball player to ever touch a basketball.
Okay, and tell me how. I want to know. Go ahead, give it to me.
The man was a purebred winner when it was time, and anything about him, you couldn't question him. Like, a lot of people like to pull up facts about, how he was in his career when he first started off in the playoffs, but Michael Jordan proved everybody, showed everybody, and he became the champion that we knew he could always be.
So is basketball, is that an individual sport or a team sport? I'm just curious.
It's a team sport.
Okay, it was a whole lot of talking that didn't mention the team aspect, and that, goes along with playing 5-on-5, or on court 5-on-5 basketball and coaching.
Yeah, I think
coaching. Go ahead, I'm listening.
I think that's what gets lost in basketball. We do tend to give only one player all the credit. True. Instead of looking at the overall, talent of the team. But Michael Jordan was still MJ. That was still Jesus on sneakers.
Okay, Larry Bird. Okay. All right. But go ahead. But tell me, what did you learn anything new that you didn't know? Did anything get reinforced for you? Like, what gave, what did it tell you? What did The Last Dance tell you?
Actually, it didn't really bring up anything new. I kind of knew a lot of this stuff about Michael Jordan already. I guess more the bigger things was how bad he seemed to have treated teammates with, when you have that high of a winning spirit, you can chop that up as something a lot of coaches and other people do. They're very hard on, especially those with dynasties and winning coaches. A lot of them tend to be very hard on their teammates and people that they coach. So,
I guess my outlook is not too different, but just a little different. I do find, let me start by this first. MJ, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, is one of the best basketball players ever. To touch a ball, dribble a ball, dunk a ball, flying through air was poetic. It's poetry in motion. So let me just get that off top, get it off my chest, because I don't want anyone to have anything, in their head that that I'm over here just trying to be negative. But Michael Jordan, growing up for me, I'm a Midwest kid. That's where I grew up. So I grew up a Bulls and a Michael Jordan fan, and Pip Rodman, and so yeah, no doubt. But watching The Last Dance gave me more insight on on the things that were going on back behind closed doors, but something that I know just because some of the stuff, some of the stuff I missed just because I was young at the time, but some of the stuff I wasn't that young. I was still in school, I was an elementary kid, but nonetheless I was in school. But there was things that were left out of the Last Dance, and he didn't. To me, it seemed like he didn't want to talk about it. He glossed it over, or whoever, or maybe it was never even mentioned. Before they did the editing. I don't know. But I just can't just forget about the fact that, they act like, my guy never missed a shot, they the only time they mentioned, him playing bad on court was, the Knicks series. And they still didn't go in depth, about what happened, or how he played. They just mentioned, he went out gambling, went to Atlantic City, with his dad, and they went out gambling night, and so he, they asked a couple questions after the game, but they didn't go in depth. They didn't talk about the fact that he had really horrendous series. But you got to understand, it's the standard.
Right.
that standard, when you are that person, because you got to remember this is after championships. So his standard, I mean, hey, just like you talking about Jesus and sneakers, Larry Bird coined him that, when he was making the playoffs with losing records and getting swept. But that's neither here nor there. We ain't gonna go there right now. It's not too many other greats, that I know were getting swept in the first round. But anyway, so it's all good. Yeah. So moving on. But anyways, they just glossed it over. The Sonic series, they didn't go in depth enough about that for me. They just, they caught, MJ looking at the iPad and just getting weak, laughing about it. And, just because, the glove said that, he gave him some trouble. And he did give him some trouble. So for him to act like, Gary Payton was not a phenomenal defender, was a little disingenuous to me. What you think?
Everybody got an opinion, but Michael Jordan, he did still score and he did his thing against the glove. So I guess that kind of takes away, maybe just to Michael Jordan's head, like the glove wasn't a problem. Maybe, and I just to Michael Jordan, not to anybody else he may have held, because we can say Tony Allen gave Kobe problems, but Kobe would still get his.
You okay? For all-time great offensive players, no great defender shuts them down.
Right.
They can make it tougher, or try and slow them down as much as they can. But he had games like 6 for 19. In the Knicks series, one of the games he had shot, he only made 3 shots. Like, come on, man. You gotta. I'm not saying anybody on the Knicks were, phenomenal defenders and, they shut down, they're going to put the clamps on you or anything like that. But there's some credit has to be given, and or tell us why you was playing so horrible. Tell me that. You laughed at Gary Payton saying that, he made it tough on him. You laughed about it. So why'd you play so bad? But they didn't say. They just, next. Because they won.
Right.
They won.
Right.
And that's why, I started off by even saying to you what about the team? We got to mention the team. Because he's winning these games. He's having horrible shooting nights for one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. He's having horrible scoring nights, and they're winning. True enough, he makes his free throws. That's why the numbers looked a little bit better.
Right.
But if you look at the box score, and then even if you watch the games, he wasn't playing well. He's getting, honestly, and that's something else I think people want to brush aside, is just don't let the bad boy Pistons in that time fool you like Michael Jordan wasn't getting calls. He was getting sent to the line. And he got sent to the line in those 80s and those 90s. So he's getting the calls and he's getting his points, but he's having horrible shooting nights. You just gotta, I want complete context.
Right.
And I ain't gonna lie. I enjoyed it. I tuned in every Sunday. So, it gave me some sports and gave me something to watch, but it just seems like there was some stuff that was just left out.
Right. It was. It was more just on his throne of greatness rather than anything, towards anything negative that came out of the documentary. It was all nothing but Michael Jordan's good side. Positives, and what he did on the court. And they did. They kind of. Now, I will say this, they did talk about his struggles against Detroit and how, tough it was for them to beat them and what they had to do to overcome that hump. I did respect that aspect of it.
Okay. I ain't knocking it,
But maybe it's because, like, the Knicks and Bulls didn't meet nearly as much as Detroit Pistons, so that battle wasn't as legendary. So they probably was like, all right, we don't have to put that in there to highlight how bad he did shoot.
This, to me, the doc was to paint a beautiful picture of Michael Jordan's career, as a basketball player. They, even from the beginning, it starts off with just saying, when he gets drafted, he goes in and, he calling people snitches, but we're not gonna go there right now. But you know, I mean, he did go in and he had some choice words to say. But he goes in and he's getting drafted to a horrible team. Like, they weren't good. I'm not gonna sit here and act like those Bulls, those early '80s Bulls or mid '80s Bulls teams were good. You know, before, you know, as he was a rookie and, you know, his first couple years in the league. But when you just go from, all right, well, because he dropped 63 and he had these huge numbers, they weren't winning the games. Yes, okay, I know one of the games, you know, they got him into overtime, and that was matter of fact, that was the 60-point game. And it's just like, all right, but y'all didn't win a game. You won nothing. You got there, but you didn't mention, like, all right, well, I scored a lot of points, but we didn't win. You know, why? Why, you know, just because you're jacking the ball up. I mean, anybody can get shots up. If you're the number one option and you got the green light, you can get the shots up. So it's, you know, Larry Bird and all that mention is just like, to me, it was just like, that was kind of whack. Just to be real. More could have been, you know, more could have been done to talk about how, all right, well, I didn't know what I needed to do to turn this team around and get us into a winning, winning franchise.
Right.
They just talk about, oh, well, Pippen came in '87 and then they turned it over to Phil and Phil got him, you know, to buy in. Well, let's talk about the other stuff he did. You know, talk about the little stuff. I mean, I know they're talking about it's the last dance, so it's supposed to be at the '98 season, but if it was just about the '98 season, they wouldn't have flashed back. Right. So tell the full story. And there was just a lot of pieces left out.
I respect that.
And, you know, the struggles.
Right.
Because, honestly, maybe other than, like, even Magic early in his career, but it's just that they were winning championships early. But he himself had some things. That's, you know, nicknamed Tragic Johnson. But LeBron had his struggles. Kobe had his struggles. Heck, Shaq had his struggles. You know, I can't speak, I can't speak on Wilt and Bill and, you know, because I didn't see them one live yet. But, and those are all-time greats. But you could have just said, I mean, I understand the persona and the mythical creature that Michael Jordan is, and that's why, you know, they come out with this stuff and, you know, they say, no one is better than him in anything, you know, and it's just not true. Is it true? I mean, they would act like he's, you know, a 40-some% three-point shooter and he never missed a two, like, it is.
He's still one of the best mid-range shooters of all time.
All right, I'll give it to him. He can be the best mid-range shooter, but that's not the only place on the court to score from.
Yeah.
Because that mid-range is the same as a layup or a dunk. 2 points.
Yeah. I mean, back then the style of playbooks and offense was more dedicated and predicated towards mid-range and making the most effective shot.
Right.
You know, today's NBA could never. Like, if you ask those guys to make a bunch of mid-ranges, they're going to miss a lot of mid-ranges compared to back then.
Well, that's just the era of play, though.
Yeah.
Because then now, if you flip that on the other side, a lot of those role players, they wouldn't be able to stay in the league because some of them aren't athletic enough. Mm-hmm. They can't dribble the ball, and they for sure can't shoot. So those right there would kind of rule them obsolete, and they would struggle playing in in the new era. So it's give or take, you know, with that, to me, you know what I'm saying?
True.
So
very true.
All right, well, that's a wrap for The Last Dance. Stay tuned. More Chop Shop.